Hi, this week on Women Who Rise, I'm joined by industry powerhouse Holly Mabery, Senior Vice President of Brokerage Operations at eXp Realty, National Real Estate Educator, and Housing Wire Woman of Influence. We're talking about the real strategies that drive growth, the habits that sustain leadership, and how to rise in your career without losing yourself in the process. If you've ever wondered how to lead with purpose, navigate change, and inspire others at scale, you won't want to miss this one. Hey everyone, and welcome to Women Who Rise, the success podcast for ambitious women. I'm your host, Heather Mansy, and today I am privileged to have Holly Mabery with me. Holly is the Senior Vice President of Brokerage Operations at eXp Realty, where she leads a nationwide cloud-based operations team of hundreds. A past president of the Arizona Association of Realtors and a nationally recognized real estate educator, Holly has been shaping the industry for over 2 decades through leadership, innovation, and hands-on training. She is also the co-creator of the Arizona Realtors Leadership Training Academy and co-owner of Real Chaos Solutions, where she equips agents with practical tools for immediate success. Recognized as a Housing Wire Woman of Influence and Insider honoree, Holly is known for her boots-on-the-ground approach to leadership, her dedication to agent-centric growth, and her belief in collaboration and technology to elevate the real estate experience. Welcome to the show, Holly.
Wow, that's a mouthful. Thank you, Heather. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome, and I'm so thrilled to have you here with me today. One of the things we offer, although we talk to a lot of realtors on Women Who Rise, we also are, conscious that there are people in corporate industries and maybe just climbing that corporate ladder, or maybe entrepreneurs with a donut shop or whatever that is, that want to simply learn from the experience of women who've been able to excel in a variety of industries. Obviously, I would love to talk a lot about eXp as well in this episode, so we will. But I also just want to take a step back a little bit and just kind of go into you, the person. Given your long career in real estate and leadership, I'd love to hear how your earliest experiences, whether in or outside of real estate, shaped the hands-on practical approach that you're known for today in your leadership.
Oh, 100%. I think, anytime you start on a new endeavor, how do you learn? And it's hands-on. Like, we all cut our teeth in different ways, but it's, how we get out, how we work with clients, and the things that I was so fortunate to learn. I joined a brokerage right out of college. And fortunate enough, it was my uncle's brokerage. And I can remember my first day. I walked in and I was there early and everything. And he said, "Okay, here's the phone book. Go for it." And I was like, "Is that it? Like, seriously, that's all you've got for me?" And so what I did is, fortunately, the agents in the office were outstanding. And I went down the hall and I picked out a couple of top producers and I asked them for opportunities to shadow them. Like, could I sit in on listing appointments? If I couldn't be in the room, could I be in the room next to it so I could hear what they did? And one of them, one of our top producing teams, had an assistant who, anytime I had a question, I went in and talked to her. And she was probably, because she knew everything so well, she was so hands-on. She then became my escrow officer after she left the team. It was just a tag team made in heaven because I learned from that. And so my goal was to follow each of those agents around. And anytime they dropped a lead or something that they didn't want to take care of, I was right there to take it on. And so the more I could learn in that way, absolutely. And if they needed something organized, if the office needed something, pulled together, I wanted to be right in the middle of it so I could learn the business. And I did that also, So back at the time, I'm going to date myself a little bit. Anybody remember the book, right? The MLS books?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. And so our association was switching over from the book to like an online DOS system. And when we were getting ready to go from a DOS system to the actual internet, I raised my hand and I said, I want to learn more about the MLS. I want to be part of this changeover. And so that's how I got involved in the association and leadership and teaching, because I got to teach people how to use the MLS that went from a book system to an online system. And that to me, the more I could break it down, the average age of a realtor in my area, they're on their second career. Many of them had retired, so they were older, not super comfortable with technology. And I was right out of college. So let's do this. And that made a huge impact on how I relate to people, how I speak to people, how I kind of break things down so it does become easier.
That's incredible. What I'm hearing, honestly, is a lot of sort of graciousness and also this idea and ability to kind of roll up the sleeves that you had early on. You just said, hey, I'm not here to be, big and great. I need to walk before I can run. Let me go find some people whose coattails I can kind of grab onto, and let me use that to help me go forward. And I love this because I feel like we're kind of living in a HGTV generation and a Pinterest generation and Instagram generation where we go like, can we just walk in here and be the celebrity? Well, no, there's a lot of walk before you can run. And I think that it sounds like you were very much, I can see why you have a boots on the ground philosophy, since you understood that at an early age that you needed to be willing to be a student and pick a teacher and pick a guide and then figure out how to break that down for others. And yes, I kind of make a note that you were also unafraid of tech. You
Yeah.
were unafraid at an early age. And like you said, you were a college graduate, so you could kind of understand. You felt like you could be maybe more willing or able to embrace a major, because that was a huge industry change. I know you're dating
Oh,
yourself. I can date myself too. And in 1997, I was selling for Infinity Broadcasting, and I sold one of the first banner ads that you could buy on through CBS online, and it
yeah.
was wild to see our worlds change and collide like that so overnight. um there's something else I wanted to ask about. Look, you've held leadership roles at the state, national, and corporate levels. Was there maybe a specific turning point or opportunity that made you realize that you could operate at this scale? Because we understand you had the humility to roll up your sleeves, but you quickly found yourself in, or I say quickly, maybe it wasn't at the time for you, but you really have found yourself in some extraordinary leadership roles. How did that start? Where did you learn the concept of, hey, I could do that, if asked?
Say yes. I think
Mm.
that's the thing. Like, truly, I never planned on this, like getting into real estate, all that kind of stuff. I never planned, oh yeah, I'm going to be SVP for this company and run something nationally. I had no idea. And even 5 years ago, I couldn't have told you that. Really, the opportunities that as they have presented themselves, I was never ready. I just wanted to say yes because being in the room to help make those decisions, because I could actually impact people in my local community. I live in a very small community. We're maybe 35,000 people, but the opportunity to go down and represent my community at the state level, absolutely. So anytime I had the opportunity, somebody said, "Hey, would you think about?" Absolutely, I'm in. And so I said yes at every turn, even though I didn't know what I was doing. I was terrified. I was one of the youngest one of the youngest local presidents, and then the youngest state president up until just a few years ago, because I kept saying yes.
This is incredible because there are a lot of reasons that people will accept the call when it comes through. And, you know, for me, it really sounds like you were simply both willing and you perhaps to be of use. Does that
Oh,
sound,
always.
that's
Like,
for me, this is really what I'm getting from you. And look, I've seen you on stage a couple times. You are phenomenal. And I always get this massive heart from you, this heart of service that literally just breaks down, I think, any sort of posturing or any kind of like, communication barriers. but I'm hearing a lot of this concept of like you just were willing to be of use, to
Yeah.
say
Oh,
yes.
I think that's the thing. We all want to feel useful
Hmm.
in our day-to-day lives. Like we want that connectivity to someone else. And I think that when I look at women in the workplace or women who show up in leadership positions, look, I'm not showing up for cookies and a name tag.
Hmm.
Like, I wanna get in and get things done, and I wanna have an impact on those people who I care about. Otherwise, I don't wanna be there. Like, I've got other things I can go do. So I would rather show up, find a way to be incredibly useful and serve, and that makes a huge difference because that fills my cup up, but I have to be able to follow through in bringing that back, whether it's now to my agents, to my state broker teams, to my staff, my leaders. Absolutely. Or am I educating, my industry, my community? Am I making that better? Or am I taking care of my family, that network of people that I live closely with in my community? So at every level, I think for especially women and women leaders, we want to have that connectivity, but we also want to make sure that we're doing things that's meaningful in our work.
Yes, and I think that really goes back to the core concept of nurturing, because
Yeah.
you did kind of call out women, and this is really a thing that I'm finding. We are at our best, genuinely connected and community leaders, whether it's a leader in our family, our own nuclear family, whatever that is, and in our community, and if nothing else. We're so expansively minded, I think, in a large way, because of that empathy, that concept of nurturing, that, it's almost like we need to make sure that we're still following a path that makes sense. But being able to find a way, I think you did certainly to, be a contribution to the people around you. And that was that concept of, hey, if someone makes the call, I'm just going to say yes to everything. And I completely love that you said you were absolutely terrified because, we cannot arrive at this moment fully formed. I did not just get up today and suddenly, have a podcast. And it doesn't change anyway. I think how much a person can be terrified. I used to perform on stage and it was, brutally terrifying. And,
Sure.
it's all like that. So just changing gears here, as a company leader in EXP since 2018, and I didn't realize till I was studying for today's podcast that you have really been with EXP a long time, in leadership, and maybe a little longer even before that. What what areas excite you the most, on EXP's growth right now in this world, of everything? I know AI. There's just so much going on. What excites you the most about what's happening right now in EXP?
I think that when I look at EXP, there is no better real estate platform in the world for any agent to consider what's important to them. And what I love about our platform is you can be an individual agent, brand new, and you can plug in and build your business however successful you want it to be. If you are a team of 15 people, the same. If you're a team of 100 people, like we've got agents who have massive teams that rival many regional brokerages, and they're huge and they're incredibly successful. And that's what I look at in our company. When I first joined, we had 11,000 agents. Now I've got states with more agents in it than that. And so to watch that kind of trajectory is astounding. But also what I love that I get to do every day is we get to dream as wildly big as possible and then go scale it. So, from here to the moon, okay, now let's build it. And that's part of what I get to do every day in those tactical, decisions and building blocks of, okay, what does an agent need? How do we keep them safe? How do we give them regulatory governance in such a way that allows them the freedom to build their business, but also keep them out of jeopardy and also provide the resources and tools so they can do their business to the best of what they're capable. So I love all of that, but then I
Yeah.
love, like, getting to break down and it's like, "Okay, let's talk about negotiating. the market's tough. Interest rates are a little bit higher. What are you telling your seller right now if you have to do a price reduction? So I love taking it back to basics and living in that space because I have a heart for it. I understand what it's like to sit across the table from a seller who's terrified. They've got to sell, they've got to get, closer to family due to health, or they got a new job, or they're having a baby and they've just got to make this decision. We get to do that. And I think it goes back to you and I are community builders
Hmm.
and community connectors, and being able to do that, to take the macro and distill it down in such a way that we can connect positively with somebody else and help them achieve their goals. Like there's no better job in the world. Like we do that as real estate agents, and now I get to do it with EXP in this company with that has that vision. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is something, and I can tell you I moved my team to EXP around February of last year, February, March of last year. And I was never fond of this concept of, brokerage hopping, grass is greener. I've been in sales for a very long time, and I understood that, your future is what you make it. Your success inside of any organization is what you make it. But that said, I moved for very specific reasons that were really friendly to owning a team, and then wanting to grow that. And this has been really a dynamic and incredible year, almost year and a half, because the many things that I've been quite surprised of, and I kind of made a note just now. I wonder, can we call EXP a company of or for visionaries? Because it really feels a lot like that.
I think you can. And this is what I would say about EXP is, I'm not here to be ice cream. I'm not here to please everybody, right?
Mm-mm.
But I think that for those who are seeking to build their next, whatever that might look like, we have the platform that allows that. So if you're looking to dream a little bit bigger, also if you're looking to go from 6 deals a year to 20, we can help you do that. Like you don't have to sell 1,000 homes a year. We can help you, do 5 more deals a year because you want to be able to buy your child a new car or take your family on vacation. Everybody's coming at this business slightly differently. And that's what I love about the versatility of real estate, but also the platform that is EXP, because I can plug in on demand when I need it the most.
Yeah. I think absolutely so. And I have to agree with you. Real estate is phenomenal for just its flexibility as a vehicle to the things you're passionate about. And yes, everybody's all over the place with their goals, but that's kind of the point. You can really steer it in the way that you need it to go. What areas or growth do you see for women in leadership in the real estate industry, maybe as a whole? I mean, we have so many ancillary industries that exist off of us. Where are women not yet riding that wave? And maybe this is also inside of EXP, but where are areas of growth in women in leadership that could exist in any aspect of this industry?
I think in all aspects, honestly, Heather. I think
Hmm.
when you look at, let's just start at management. There are not enough women managing brokers or
Yeah.
designated brokers, period. A lot of times women will self-select out, unfortunately. Life is happening, they're busy, etc. And I totally respect that. Like they're pulling everything together um, in their world. But some women are my best managing brokers because of that, their ability to see through things, but also their empathy and their commitment to follow through with agents, and understand. Like so much of real estate is absolutely relational, and being able to guide someone to overcome a challenge. Like I think we do that naturally. You mentioned the word nurture. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. So I look at it just on the most basic level, either as a team leader or as a speaker or as a managing broker. But then you start to get into the upper echelons of any kind of company that is out there. There's very few of us. And I think that that's what's so unique about EXP when I look across our company, and you've got Amy Weaver, who is SVP for growth, and you've got
Yeah.
Kendall Bonner, who
And
is
Ball.
VP
Yeah.
for industry relations, and Susan McLean, who's VP for agent systems and support. And then you've got our CMO, Wendy, who is incredibly dynamic, speaking on multiple stages. And what I appreciate about Wendy is she comes at this from being a practitioner all the way through to all of these other things. She's our Swiss Army knife, if you will, and because she can do it all. And I think that what I appreciate about the opportunity in this company is it's how you contribute, how you show up, not who you are or your gender. And that's what I've always appreciated is if you are
Mhm.
willing to try and you're willing to learn and then execute, that is celebrated.
I think this, and I can tell you this has been one of the most refreshing, because I do really think it's how you show up, and I think EXP is growing at a rate and is not, it's not looking at sort of an old management style. It's saying,
Yeah,
hey, if you're gonna pop your head up or put your hand raised, we're more than happy to find something for you to do and elevate whatever it is you're up to. Even this podcast is as an example. We've spoken to your crew, and they're going to be promoting, or I should say restreaming. And so this is incredible because I think we're just ready in the world for such a collaborative concept of enterprise, or such a collaborative concept of a company and a corporation. You still have traditional management structure, but I do
sure.
really think that you are comprised of a lot of small leaders as well, with all of those real estate brokers, managing brokers, people who own teams, people who, and I have seen just a massive, massive, massive embrace of that. I wanted to ask you, and by the way, I do find it incredibly inspiring that Kendall and the others, they've been on the show as well, and several. And I wrote down Wendy and Susan because I haven't called them yet, but they'll be on my list. We can blame this episode, but it's true that this is really inspirational to see women in these big leadership roles inside of a corporation. I used to work in the corporate world. It was rarefied air at the top for women, and so being able to see a bigger embrace of that, and I think just generally our world as well is hopefully trending towards more of that too. I think there's always opportunities. What do you think is one of the top challenges to training for success and, literally launching new agents in 2025? I mean, granted, it's not June 22 to June 24 anymore. Thankfully, that was challenging for sure. But what do you think are some of the challenges or even opportunities on that concept of the newer licensees in this day and age?
You know what? This is the thing I think when it comes to new licensees, that has never changed. The
Mhm.
basics have never changed. And so if you're a brand
Yeah,
new agent coming into this business, you need to know that you wake up unemployed every single day
perfect.
and you
I
have
say
to
this
go out and get it.
frequently.
Right? Like you have to go out and get it. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is you have to get out of bed consistently every day, get dressed for the job that you want and go connect with people. Period. Like you cannot stop and wait for people to come to you because you're not going to get fed. That is not how this works. And so I
Mhm.
think for new agents coming into the business, that's critical. And I'll also take a bit of liberty that our agents that maybe got into the business from 2016 and forward, they're experiencing a market that they've never experienced. And there's a bit of struggle and strife of I don't understand. Why is we get this a lot. Why is my listing not selling? What's going on? Like, what has happened here? And so having that conversation of, hey, did you price it right? Well, yeah, the seller told me what they wanted and I put the sign in the yard. Okay, well, let's talk about what you need to do next. Let's talk about a plan. Let's talk about your points of differentiation in you, as well as how you set this house apart for buyers to
Mhm.
find.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where we're at right now. So the conversation around new agents, that's never changed. It will always be, hey, you wake up unemployed, let's go.
Yeah.
I think
Time to
the
work.
conversation now is really we're in a professionals market. So how are you choosing to show up? And what does that look like for you in your business plan? Because you do have to plan for success. You can't just fall into it. That's not going to work today.
Yeah, this is I think so prescient for the moment we're in. It's absolutely the case, and it depends what sales and sales experience. If you've got someone who understands that daily grind, you can call it whatever you want, daily opportunity, but of just the work of prospecting. And then yes, you cannot be, I think, a yes person in today's world with the clients. You've got to be the true expert and a guide and have some, fact-based analysis that is going to help that customer be able to coincide with what it is you're trying to, and jump in on that bandwagon of what it is that you're trying to guide them to understand, which is that, yeah, I mean, if you're going to overprice, you may lose more money, leave more money on the table than the guy who prices more correctly. And also, you're going to have a lot more headache and frustration. And this is certainly what we're seeing right now. I actually love the term, a professionals market. I think that really encapsulates so much of what you just said. But that you're right. I mean, the basics never change. I think this is true not just in sales, but we could probably talk about that. That's true in any
In
sort of,
any business.
in a corporate job or whatever. I mean, Holly, you have a big title, but that means you have big responsibilities. You
Yeah.
probably have to get up earlier than most. You have to really show up. You have to be organized. You have to be self-disciplined, and it really doesn't matter as much, what it is you're trying to handle in your outside world. There's no days off. Like, you've got to show up in a big way for your job because people are expecting that of you.
I would just kind of pivot slightly. You've
Mhm.
got to show up for the people who trust you.
Mhm.
Like, if you've asked for their trust, you have to get up and hustle for those people that you've asked for it. And that's what I look at in my position. But also I want to go back because I was just watching the OpenAI. They were talking about their release of ChatGPT 5, which is amazing. It's just coming out, like, it's gonna be
Wow.
available to, if you've got the free version, if you've got the super premium version, everybody gets access. What was interesting to me in watching that, and something that I took to heart as a real estate professional, there was a couple on there, and she was talking about her cancer diagnosis and how she was leveraging ChatGPT as a thought partner to better understand her treatment protocols and what that looked like. And I went, "Okay, so if I'm doing that for my cancer diagnosis, how many clients are now going to pivot and consult ChatGPT on pricing of their home, on staging of their home? Is my agent doing all the right things? How can I negotiate better?" And
Mhm.
so for me, looking at this brave new world that we're entering into with AI, what I would say to any agent right now is, I want you to make ChatGPT your thought partner and consultation. Like, when you're talking to a client and prepping for them, what are you scripting through ChatGPT? What are you pulling out of that to help you better prepare for them? And
Right.
then also recognizing that you can give them all the data. They can Google it, they can use ChatGPT to pull all of those things together. But one of the things that you can do that, one of my pillars of my business plan was always be what they can't Google, right? Like, that's how I always showed up, is I was gonna be what you can't Google. Like, what is in between, the lines on the Google search page? Well, with ChatGPT, it's starting to shrink that a lot. And so for you and I as professionals in this market, what you do locally matters. What's going on in that zip code, on that street, in that neighborhood, how you sit in front of that client who has experienced the death of a spouse, that's why they have to move, or they've got a new baby, or my goodness, they bought a puppy and that puppy is now eating the couch and they can no longer be in a condo. Like, all of those things, that human relationship, ChatGPT is not there yet, but you and I are.
Yeah.
And you and I real time can have those conversations, but we have to leverage what we know our clients are. So I
Mhm.
don't want you to be afraid of the technology. I want you to leverage it to your advantage, to understand, to have a better conversation. That's why I wanted to bring that up. It's like, man, if this couple found such comfort in an app, we need to get there now.
I I am so there with you. Every day I'm learning how to phrase more challenging, questions to my own chat GPT to learn about, you know, Alzheimer's or whatever. My mother had that. And, I'm looking, I have two boys. I want to, like, what should I know?
Yeah.
What can I hack for the future generation? And there's so many things like that. And, hey, how can I get my podcast to launch the best or whatever? It's an absolute storehouse of knowledge. I was thinking about it in terms of like the French Enlightenment of the 1700s. I do not know another time when, and I'm sure it'll be times 100. I don't know another time in history when, humankind just suddenly was faced with this much access to knowledge at such a low, every person democratic kind of way. That's incredible. Everyone with a computer or a phone can get this knowledge, and it's becoming more and more, like you say, open and fair. Um, and I do think at least that's one area where I think the newer agents, and I can speak for some of my own, the younger group, that I say is like born with an iPhone in their mouth, they can actually adapt these kind of changes even better. And in
Hmm.
fact, I told them, hey, please read your emails before you send them. Make
Yeah.
sure that it's not throwing out, some HUD violation or something. Just be cautious with that, at least edit things. But man, those of us who've been around longer, and remember the Space Invaders game, like, what we can do is really tool ourselves. If it took me half an hour to go through stats and charts and whatever to do a great presentation for a client, I can leverage, any one of a number of incredible apps to do it so much quicker. I mean, Eric Post has a product out there that's incredible as well. Um, I wanted to also just underline what you said about be what they can't, because this is so consistent around what, you talked about connection. I wrote down, confidence, care, guidance, expertise. Confidence, I think, is one of the big ones, because in the end, a client can Google, and you could kind of tell when you meet with them how much they've been on certain apps, Zillow, whatever. But even if you are aligning with what they're saying, the feeling of actually signing on the dotted line, I think so much of that comes from general confidence from an expert, that you're literally the person saying, I am here to tell you this is a great choice. I back this idea, or here's how I would pivot that. And then, yes, this would be the right way to do X, Y, Z. And the ability to be that expert who has knowledge, um, and is able to sit in front of someone and make them feel better about such a giant leap, which every property transaction is a massive, massive leap for the person doing it. I know that, our time is getting near a little bit, and I have a few things I wanted to cover with you. When you talk about ringing the bell on a corporation, because I do really think it's an opportunity to do that. EXP has experienced dramatic growth. What are some of the numbers that I think would blow the socks off of people?
I think when you look at where we were, like 2018, 11,000 agents, and here we sit, just gosh, right at 75,000 agents globally. We're opening up countries every day. We're in 28 countries right now. When I joined, we weren't in all 50 states. So, I mean, that's how tremendously different we are. I think when you look at, we took care of more families, over 350,000 families last year, as the number one brokerage by transaction in the US. That's astounding. Like, and that's what it means. Like,
And
when
we're
you
not by agent count, right?
no, we're not by agent count. But when you look at, as basically the largest independent in the US, we took care of more families that trusted us to the tune of 350,000 plus last year. That's astounding. And
Yeah.
so there's lots of other numbers that go along with that. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's how we take care of people. And I
Mhm.
know for the team I get to lead within EXP, we are agent facing. So how do we take care of our agents so they can take care of our clients out in the field, in their neighborhoods and their communities?
Mhm.
And that's, again, it comes full circle to getting to be a community builder. And that's what I love, right? When I look at EXP and the trajectory we're on, and right now in this change that is the business, not only are we helping build strong communities, but we're also looking at the way that real estate is done and
Mhm.
how do we make that better. And we were able to do that last year. I was really proud. Like, we had the National Association of Realtors, the settlement that came out
Yeah.
of all of the sellers compensation lawsuits, and we led the way in. Not only did we release forms that were actually groundbreaking because they were easy to read and understand for
Mhm.
consumers, but
Mhm.
also we decoupled commissions before anybody else. And we basically said, this is what a seller pays us, and a seller can pay a buyer's agent if they so choose, and this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And by just that little tweak, it did disrupt the industry because people went, oh wait, there's an easier way. Oh wait, I can do something straightforward.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm so proud of. And we're not done yet. We were just getting started.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud that we put our forms out for anybody to use. I had a lot of smaller brokerages who were like, we can't afford to make our own form. I'm like, here you go. And we're still giving it away. We're still finding ways to innovate and give our knowledge away because that's the right thing to do for the industry.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm so proud of. So when I look at OpenAI and ChatGPT 5 going across scale because it makes everybody better,
Yeah.
we're doing the same thing.
That is fantastic. And again, it's coming from that core of generosity and inclusiveness, which
Well,
I
it's
have
the right thing
seen.
to do.
Yeah, I've seen it through and through. I also want to say you have access to the leadership, the top. I had a taco with Glenn Sanford, before I realized who I was standing next to, in Seattle last fall, or whenever we had that rally. And it's just, it's incredible because you really do have access to leadership at all areas. I know you guys are going to be some of you guys are going to be coming to the Salem area soon, and
Mhm.
we're doing these events that are so accessible, not expensive, very easy for agents to get themselves to. I think that's phenomenal. So I want to just go really quickly to real life balance. So real life and balance,
Yeah.
basically, look, given your travel, speaking, operational leadership, what strategies just personally have helped protect both your energy and your creativity, that thing, that inner wisdom that is you, that kind of guides you? How do you protect and just make sure that you're able to be where you need to be and who you need to be every day?
So one of the key things that I believe is there's strength through joy,
Mm,
right? If you need to be stronger, it's strength through joy. And funny story, this morning I got up at 5. I have a garden, and my garden is overwhelming right now because I have more tomatoes than I know what to do with. This weekend I made salsa and I gave it away. Today I made marinara and I'm giving that away. And the house smelled wonderful. It's all cleaned up, but it was one of those where I took a little bit of time this morning to do
yeah.
something that brings me so much joy, but I can go and see the results of my work. This is the other thing that I will say: as women, we don't do good enough or well
No.
enough. First, we don't unplug. We think we always have to be on. We always have to be on for somebody. And I will tell you, no, we don't. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to ask for help. In
Mhm.
fact, we should do it more frequently. The best thing that I ever did was hire somebody to help come clean our house twice a month.
Yeah.
The first couple of months that she came, every day that she came, I hugged her and cried.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like I see her twice a month, and it's the most lovely thing.
Yeah.
So I want you to find joy, figure out those things that build you up, and whatever that is. Is it being outside? Is it and it's a singular action. Like, you're always going to spend time with family or your significant other or your children or whatever it is. What is it that gives you this? Because you have greater strength through your joy. And
Mhm.
so feel that, honor that, and then also, make sure that you are asking for help because you don't have to do everything. You can be
Yeah.
superwoman. You just don't have to do everything.
Right. You can, yes. And it's almost like, Spring Benson and I were talking, and it was, hey, you can have it all, but that doesn't mean you physically need to do it
Do
all.
it
She,
all.
she talked about getting someone to help just go get the groceries for her kids. It was
Absolutely.
something that simple, but that gave her more time actually with her kids. And I think what you're saying is so clear. You really have to go find whatever that is for you that fuels you,
Mhm.
and strength through joy. I think that's one that is probably one of the greatest sayings that I've had here. As someone who's led in male dominated spaces, like the national real estate leadership and brokerage operations, what tools have you encountered, just in general, to be able to be heard? Not that there's like an always barrier there. I don't
Sure.
really buy into that. But basically, what tools have you utilized, or what ways of showing up do you see to be heard, and even as a new leader or in a new position that possibly is, like you said, demanding of you those people who trusted you?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, always come prepared. And you and I as agents, we always showed up with far more than our client will ever ask about, right? The research that we've done and so forth. I know as an instructor, I always showed up. I would be teaching maybe a 20-minute class, but I had enough for 4 hours because if the class needed to go in a different direction, I could pull from that. As a leader, getting to sit in those rooms, um, I rely on a sense of humor. Like, not everything is life or death.
Yeah.
We are not putting a man on the moon, nor are we curing cancer. It's real estate, and we're here to take care of people. And so my goal is to stay crazily grounded in that. Because the minute you start to get all heady about what you're doing, you lose focus and touch, and um, people see that. And so for me, it's really important to keep my sense of humor and
Yeah.
just kind of see through those things. And then also, and Heather, this is probably something that I didn't realize I did it early in my career, but when people would be in a room and they would be, you know, the volume escalates and they're frustrated and so on and so forth, um, I would get quieter. I would lower my
Yeah.
voice, I
Yes.
would get quieter, and I would smile, and I would sit back, and I would slowly speak. And what happened in those moments, and it still does to this day, because I didn't realize I did it, and it kinda comes naturally. It comes very naturally. People will stop talking and lean in.
Yes.
And I will
Yeah.
tell you, as a woman, you never have to raise your voice. Not ever.
Yeah.
You can control a room by just being yourself
Hmm.
and speaking the truth.
Yes.
And that's the most beautiful thing in the world,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Um,
and I hear it. I hear it in you now, and I've seen you on stage, and I've seen you use humor to create levity, and also, break the ice, just create accessibility. To me, you are a very accessible speaker. You're not up here; you're down on the level with the audience that you're looking. So, as an educator, it's incredible to watch you, because yes, you are very much speaking on the level of the audience you're in. And then I hear it now. I've been in a few meetings where you can't get into a shouting match with, you can't win in that way. It doesn't really work. Um, and that quiet, because confidence isn't actually loud at all.
Never.
Uh, Confident, true, genuine confidence comes from, like you said, being prepared, having genuine, heart for service, and all of this, wanting to make a contribution. It's not defensive, and it's not loud. It can actually be quiet as a pin drop, and that's the thing that people will see. So last question, I want to be super conscious of your time. You've already influenced the industry through training, policy, and operations. How do you envision your next chapter, or your position's next chapter, in terms of shaping the future of real estate leadership? EXP is up to a lot. What does this look like?
I think what I'm so excited about right now is skating to where the puck will be, right? That famous Wayne Gretzky quote. And we're in this sense of the industry right now, like we've got the settlement, we're a year in, now we're starting to see enforcement, and that enforcement can take on multiple different things. I'm very confident in how we have set our agents for success and EXP for that success, but it's a never ending. Like you are always going to be making sure that we take care of our agents. So that's a consistent. But then also I'm looking at the evolution of MLS, the evolution of whether it's the National Association of Realtors, the state associations, organized real estate, how we're going to continue to function, but then also recognizing technology, AI, how we evolve. And then for me, the thing I'm probably most excited about is mentorship.
Mm,
How do I get to take care of people who will be better than I am? How do I help them grow in
mhm.
such a way that they will take this place to levels that I couldn't even think of? And so that's what I'm so excited about right now. The people in my charge, how do I lift them up
Yeah.
and mentor them for future? And that's a combination of agents, and my staff, my leadership team, and championing the men and women in that, but also women leaders who were like me when I got into this industry at 24, who were like, I'd really like a shot, can you give me a
Yeah.
shot?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that I'm not looking to go anywhere. I'm only 51, but it's also like I've been given so much, how do I help those people be awesome?
Mhm. And I think again, it's like what you said, earlier, joy, strength through joy,
Yeah.
because if you can up level people in your world, for me, this is the ultimate goal at the moment. It's what I've been doing for a few years. It's why I started a team. I absolutely love it. And that's being able to be that teacher where you're changing someone else's life as a direct result of what you see in them that perhaps they don't yet see, or they hope to see. And
Yeah.
you're able to give them the vision and the tools and the confidence to see it through. Well, Holly, I cannot thank you more. You are such a joy to be around. I am extremely grateful that you chose to spend some time with me here today. I can tell you it's, just my notes from our takeaways are huge. And so we have an episode guide and some takeaways and stuff that we'll be doing for our audience after. But yeah, I really appreciate you and I look forward to seeing you on more stages soon. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, folks, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on Women Who Rise, the success podcast for ambitious women. Today, Holly taught us multiple, just incredible takeaways. Strength through joy was the first one we had talked about. Find time in your life for what fuels you. Include, helping others, mentoring others, understand what it is that lets you be the best you that you can be, and get yourself, at one with whatever that is. She talked about having time in the garden and the fact her tomato overproduction meant that she was making salsa for people just to give it away. It was something that literally gave her so much joy, took a little bit of time, and it also spread and shared that joy with others. Number two, show up prepared. Far beyond the task at hand. She talked about needing learning materials for a 20-minute segment, and she had enough for a 4-hour segment, just in case there was a pivot or change or anything. When you are dealing with any meetings or situations, why not be over prepared and bring more to the table than is expected of you in that meeting, in that opportunity, in that speaking engagement, whatever it is? Show up far prepared, far beyond that expectation of you. We talked about real confidence being quiet. Make others lean in. True confidence is not loud. It doesn't have to shout to be heard. She actually uses a meeting tool of, she had to kind of realize that she had used this to great effect over her career. And it's basically being able to kind of sit back, take time, and then lower her voice, and people will finally listen. You do not have to shout over the crowd to be heard. In some ways, this is even more effective. And then also showing up for the people whose trust that they trusted you with, that you requested, right? Showing up for the trust that you asked for. So if you asked to serve a client, if you asked to serve a buyer, a seller, if you asked for the opportunity, to be in a higher position in whatever it is you do, show up for that every day. Honor that trust that you were given and recognize that you were given a place where you can win and where that challenge is something you can rise to. And then finally, serve to meet that need. And then lastly, use ChatGPT to be just as connected, informed, prepared as your clients. Recognize that if they're using ChatGPT all the time, to ask them, what should my agent be doing? How can my house be, better positioned on the market, or whatever that is, you need to figure out how to do that as well. And she had a saying that I thought was phenomenal. Be what it is that they can't Google. Be the thing that they cannot Google, that they cannot currently get from AI. And we talked about the fact that that is human connection and empathy and the ability to sit there and, as an expert, face to face, be able to advocate for a guidance or direction or whatever that is. And maybe it's mirroring what the, ChatGPT or Google said, but maybe it's not. But the fact that you're there to represent that idea, that direction, that, whatever it is, with confidence and the backing of your own knowledge and preparation, this is right now not something you can Google. So hope this was helpful. Visit our website to find our episode guide and worksheet that will help you use these tips to take action in your own life. Like and subscribe and join us everywhere podcasts are streamed. We can't wait to bring you more incredible content every week so that you can rise in your own lives and careers. Again, thank you so much. Heather Mansy, signing off.